Right, ladies and gentlemen, how are we today? Today, I found this opportunity because there are no transfer news. We know there are no preparations, when it comes to a match because we've got an international break. So today we've got more of an entertaining video. Now, obviously the transfer market is the big and juicy topic in these next couple of weeks. Until the end of the January transfer window. The transfer market will be a very, very, very discussed topic over the course of this summer. So today, you know what? I decided I'm gonna tell you guys 4 players that basically I would buy and give Jose Mourinho next season, or maybe even during the January transfer market. Now, I do want to point out that there's a massive list of free agents in 2022, and obviously, we aren't a rich club, we aren't an economically superpower of football, so I decided to be realistic in a way, and I chose 4 free agents which I can see joining Roma. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean that if I say them, they have to join Roma and they will join Roma. These are just 4 free agents in which their contract ends in 2022, therefore being perfect to buy this summer, for example, and bringing them to Roma and to Jose Mourinho. But obviously, before we start this live stream, it's Jose Mourinho's birthday. So why don't we give it a good old sing-along? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jose. Happy birthday to you. And you know what? Like this live stream for Jose Mourinho, just like it for him. And let's get cracking, right? Just to clarify, my 4 players are 2 defenders, 2 centre-backs, and 2 midfielders. Yeah, 1 midfielder and a sort of attacker, but he's not a striker, he's a winger. But obviously, chronologically, let's start with the defense. Now, there was quite a big list, frankly speaking, of defenders, of centre-backs in which their contract ends in 2022. And, apart from some big defenders, which we already talked about, under the likes of Rudiger at Chelsea, which, I can see happening in a way because he loves Roma, he was a Roma player. I haven't chosen him. I've chosen 2 players which are more realistic when it comes, to buying them and bringing them to Roma. And the first player, the first free agent I decided to pick is a German defender who is also very much, encountered in a way by Newcastle. Now, when it comes to Newcastle, obviously, hands down, we can't compete economically and financially with them. But I see this player, this player is not a massive defender, He is not one of the greatest centre-backs out there. He is not the best defender out there. But I think he, let me just say his name. The first name I chose is, where is it? I forgot the image. I've got it here. There you go. The first player I'm talking about is Nicolas Schulz from Bayern Munich. Now, let's put him on the graph, shall we? Where is it? There we go. Right. Nicolas Schulz is my first option. I think this player is, not the best out there. I think there are defenders which are way better than this guy. But there's only one reason of why I would buy him. Actually, maybe 2. The first reason is the physique. He is one of the biggest centre-backs humanity could see. He basically, with his physique, it's as if, buy 1 for the price of 2. He is literally enormous. He is a giant. He would be the equivalent of 2 different defenders if we want to focus on the physique part. So, I obviously, just to clarify this, there are gonna be people out there saying, oh, this is unreliable, oh, this will never happen. these are free agents, and out of all the free agents, these I can see happening. Obviously, Zule plays for a big club like Bayern Munich. And basically, Bayern Munich have young defenders, and they have made it clear that he's out of their project. They've got Upamecano, which is unbelievable. They've got, what's his name? Kiasu. Oh, forget it. He's a very young defender. They have got Benjamin Pavard. They have got Lucas Hernandez. Frankly speaking, they don't need this guy. Now, there is one small problem when it comes to Nicolas Schulz, and it's the wages. But frankly speaking, I have seen bigger players being linked to Roma. And to be honest with you, I think Nicolas Schulz is not unbelievable. Mind me, he is not an amazing defender. But I think he has two things which makes me want to buy him. His physique, as we already talked before, and the experience, obviously. Because, we've said this in latest live streams, that the experience is a big part, especially if we want to try and compete for bigger competitions, the Coppa Italia on one hand, the Conference League, which doesn't sound like we need that experience. He is someone who has got the experience by playing at Bayern Munich. And frankly speaking, I don't think it will be impossible for us to buy him. Let me move on to my second defender, which is more realistic. Obviously, out of the two, he is 100% more realistic. I'm talking about someone who plays in the Premier League for a club who is absolutely ridiculous under Sean Dyche. I'm talking about James Tarkowski. Now, once again, this guy deserves more than Burnley Football Club. And we can all agree on this. We all can agree that James Tarkowski deserves more than having Sean Dyche as a manager and playing for a bloody club who is 20th in the league. He is actually a very underrated and underestimated defender. I think, it's very surprising that bigger clubs in the Premier League haven't pointed their eyes on him. He has stayed at Burnley for God knows how much time. He needs a jump in his career. And I have a feeling that he, it could be in a way, with all, what I'm trying to, Mourinho has definitely left an English footprint here at AS Roma Football Club, right? He's been interested in very different English players, Premier League players. He's bought Tammy from the Premier League. He's found Smalling from the Premier League. He's bought Maitland-Niles from the Premier League. I have a feeling there's this rhythm going on, right? Mourinho knows the Premier League extremely well, knows the players in the Premier League extremely well, and he wants to sort of transport, doable, realistic pieces of the Premier League into the Serie A. And this is exactly why Tammy Abraham is now our striker. This is exactly why he wanted Maitland-Niles. Tarkowski needs, and as I repeat, we all agree on this. He needs a jump in his career. He's a very underrated defender, which I think deserves more than Burnley. I think his wages are too high. I think his desire to leave Burnley will be high. And third of all, Burnley are not going to save themselves from relegation. I know that Watford are absolutely appalling. In fact, Watford sacking Ranieri was one of the worst decisions out there. I have no idea why they did sack Ranieri, because, now they appointed Roy Hodgson. It's the players which they gotta sort out. It was not the manager's fault. Now, obviously, I love Ranieri, and I might be biased here, but I think Watford sacking Ranieri was one of the most awful decisions out there, even after 3-0 Norwich win. Burnley are not gonna save themselves. They have a big match in a couple of weeks against Watford, and that will basically mark the future of their season. If they were to lose or draw the match, they're 20th in the league, Norwich are running up, Newcastle have a good team to save themselves, frankly speaking. Burnley, and I'm sorry Josh if you're watching this, are gonna drop down into the Championship. And James Tarkowski deserves more than this. He's underrated, his wages are too high, and he's 29 years old, as Tino Muki says. He's not the youngest, but that does mean, well, I wouldn't say experience, because at Burnley, he's got the Premier League intense experience, because the Premier League is a way more faster league than the Serie A. It's a completely different league, so it would take him time to adapt. But I can see Mourinho pointing his eyes on him, and I think, as I repeat, he's a very underrated player, and I wouldn't mind seeing him at AS Roma, obviously. Because, as I said before, he deserves more than Burnley Football Club. Let's move on onto the midfielder. Now, this is someone we've already talked about altogether. And we've actually got a comment from the chat saying Lingard can replace Mkhitaryan. In my opinion, I'm talking about Lingard. Lingard, right, let me get it. I think once again, Jesse Lingard, I think, obviously, if people say that this is unrealistic, then I'm going to counterattack and say you're wrong. Because there have been plenty of better players than Lingard linked to Roma. And one of these is, for example, Zakaria this summer. I know they're playing in completely different leagues, but Roma was close to Zakaria this summer. So I can see Lingard joining Roma without any struggles. The problem, right, I think I can see this happening because he wants to play. And at Manchester United, he's having the same exact story as Donny van de Beek. I don't know who the next Manchester United manager will be. I really doubt that Rangnick will stay next season. So obviously we will need to see the ideology of the next manager if he's interested in Lingard. But once again, frankly speaking, this is not the United stand. Does Manchester United really need Jesse Lingard? They have got way more quality than Jesse Lingard in their team. And this is something we've talked about yesterday. Relations between these two clubs are hard, so it would need quite a lot of hard work from Thiago Pinto to convince him. And I think this will be hard for one reason. I cannot see Jesse Lingard leaving the Premier League. As much as I can see many other English players leaving the Premier League and playing in the Serie A, I just can't picture Lingard playing in the Serie A. He's had his experience at West Ham, which I think are the favourites when it comes to buy him. But, this is not, will these actually happen? This is Simon's for 2022 free agents, and which he would bring to Roma. And one of these is definitely Jesse Lingard. I think Jesse Lingard, once again, has got the championship experience. Obviously, if he comes to Roma, it will need time for him to adapt, just like Tammy. But I think a reason why it could happen is exactly the reason why that he wants to play more. And at West Ham, he was unbelievable. And getting back at Manchester United, obviously he expected more minutes in his legs. Unfortunately, it's not happening. He wants to leave, and he has made it clear that his desire is to leave Manchester United. Does this mean I want to go to Roma? I want to go to West Ham? I don't know. But once again, we have got a good factor on our side under the likes of Jose Mourinho, who knows Premier League players very well, could easily give him a call. And, he is, let me see how old he is, because he's definitely not the youngest. Let me see, Lingard age. Lingard is 29 years old, just like James Tarkowski. He's not the youngest, he's not the oldest. So I think it's his perfect age. I don't think his wages are too high, frankly speaking. I think Ndombele's wages were way higher. If you ask me. But, I maybe this is bullshit. But if you want me to read the list of all the basically free agents in 2022, then these players I chose are probably the weakest and obviously therefore the most doable for Roma. There are players under the likes of Pogba, under the likes of Dybala, under the likes of Mbappe, who are free agents in 2022. Obviously, I couldn't put them. So, these players I chose are realistic out of all the free agents. I can see Nicolas Schulz joining Roma, I can see James Tarkowski joining Roma, and I can see Jesse Lingard joining Roma easily. I'm not saying get Mbappe right now, because that's not going to happen. These are more realistic, and Jesse Lingard is one of them. Now, my last player is... I wanted to spark things up. My last player is definitely the least... maybe the least realistic, but I have a backup reason of why it could happen. Now, forget about this. Let me get back to Lingard for a sec, because we have got an interesting comment from Kazi Khalid Hossein. Lingard can replace Mkhitaryan in my opinion. And this is interesting because basically Mkhitaryan is playing extremely well and we can't say anything about Mkhitaryan, but Mkhitaryan obviously is coming towards the end of his career. And I think if he keeps on playing like this and we were to sell him, we could get quite a few money from this deal, which then, could be then reused, in this Lingard deal, because Lingard deal, in my opinion, would not cost more than 30 million. I think it doesn't deserve to cost more than 30 million. And I think a few, I can see it happening. And obviously Roma will need to think the next Mkhitaryan, because Mkhitaryan is great, he's performing extremely well, but he's coming towards the end of his career. So Roma will need to think about the future as well. And Jesse Lingard is 29 years old, he's not that old. Now, my last player is the least realistic, because I wanted to spark things up. But it's not Mbappe. It's not that unrealistic. There is some extent to this possibly happening. And I have a backup explanation of how Roma might react and buy this player. You all want to know his name, I know. But I'm gonna explain why before leaking and showing who he is. There have been discussions of Zaniolo, obviously, and we've talked about this. Zaniolo is, the situation with Zaniolo and Roma is complicated, right? And they're gonna have discussions over the course of the next following weeks. Zaniolo is currently busy in the Italian national team due to the fact that Chiesa is injured, and Mancini needs backup options. So Zaniolo, basically, Roma want to renew his contract, and Roma need to renew his contract, frankly speaking, because he is a young player, he's a young talent, and he needs to stay at Roma. And I want Zaniolo to renew his contract. But Zaniolo is asking basically an increase in his wage, otherwise he won't renew his contract. And this thing, obviously, Roma not being an economically superpower of football, there are some limits to these moves. So Roma has said, we will think about this. We will have future discussions between you, us, and your agents in the next couple of weeks to try and find an agreement. But if you're not keen to stay at Roma because you have a lower wage, because it's definitely not a low wage, if you just don't, at the end of the day, if you don't want to become the new Totti, if you really want to leave because all you want is money, then, unfortunately, we need to sell you. This is what Roma's doing right now. They're trying to convince him. They love him. Zaniolo loves Roma. But at the end of the day, if he's asking, if all he cares about is money, then Roman can't sell him. And this can actually happen. Obviously, this will happen in the summer if it happens. And selling Zaniolo would provide a lot of money. I don't want him to be sold. I think he's a talent. I think, he's extremely good. But if we were to sell him, it would definitely get us quite a lot of money. I definitely say 60 million minimum. And, big clubs are disposed and, can pay that amount of money for Zaniolo. Therefore, this player which I'm going to tell you guys is possibly going to happen only if a big player leaves like Zaniolo. But I'm going to say, because he's a free agent in 2022, we basically don't need to pay him. All we need to pay is his wages. Basically, I'm talking about someone who basically scored the winner in the Copa America this summer against Brazil. I'm talking about Angel Di Maria. Now, let me just conclude this stream because there's something to say on this, obviously. I don't want you, if you're a kid, to go to your parents and say, oh my god, Simon just said Di Maria will join. No. I just said, out of all the free agents, I would possibly buy him. You need money for Di Maria. You need wages, high wages for Di Maria. But if Zaniolo leaves, then I can see this 100% happening. Di Maria has got the experience. Di Maria wants to leave PSG because they're building basically an army. Di Maria's cut off. And I could possibly see him joining Roma if a big player leaves Roma this summer, because Di Maria is not the youngest. You know, his value has dropped. His wages could drop. I can see it happening. Ladies and gentlemen, these are my four 2022 free agents realistic. I mean, go yourself on Google, search up 2022 free agents, and look at all the players. These are the most realistic players Roma could buy. So I hope you enjoyed this entertaining video. I'll catch you tomorrow. Right, let's read some comments before. Sule is a giant. What's Kamara and Zakaria's situation look like? Forget about it, mate. Tarkowski is good, but already 29. Kamara is needed. We need a CDM. If nobody snaps up Skrilic, we should try to get him. I would love Kamara, but seems he has very high wage demands. Yeah, Kamara's not happening. Simon, why is Mourinho so quiet on his assistant manager departure? Very good question. I actually have no idea. Yeah, definitely no idea. I mean, yeah. He definitely said something, especially in the press conference about it. But yeah, he hasn't spoken about much. Simon, how do you think about those two players linked with AS Roma? Sesko from RB Salzburg and Mavididi from Montpellier. Mavididi is a bowler. Mavididi is someone who Roma is interested in this summer. He's played for Montpellier. He is absolutely unbelievable. He scores every single time. I would definitely put my eyes on Mavididi, and to be honest with you, I have no idea who Sesko is. I don't follow the Bundesliga because it's such a farmers league, so my apologies, but I would definitely, out of the two, I would definitely put my eyes on Mavididi. Ronaldo? No, we don't want Ronaldo. Too selfish. João Sacramento wasn't good enough. He was disliked in Tottenham and at Roma. Jose would prefer not talking about him the Jose way. Ronaldo is too old. I agree, and too selfish. I agree, if he's putting money first before making sure he's performing at a high level, there's an attitude problem. Todd Cantwell, yeah, that is another free agent I saw. He's young. Big clubs in the Premier League will buy him. And that's a statement. Right. Di Maria's getting old. He is, but he doesn't like the experience. In fact, you know, something to point out is that if Di Maria comes through, definitely the contract should be no longer than 2 years, because then it's just a waste of money, because he would definitely stop performing. He would definitely improve the team. Di Maria, no way too old. Get Todd Cantwell, can create chances. The problem with him is that big clubs in the Premier League will want him. He's an absolute bowler. So, what position do you think we should change? I think we need more defenders, maybe a CDM. I wouldn't focus on the attack right now because I think the attack is complete. The Mavididi guy looks incredible for Rio. I would love if we get him. Yeah, there have been rumors of Roma being interested in him. But he's an absolute bowler, as I said. He's a classic player, which I think would join a club like Dortmund. But who knows? We'll get updated. Right, lads and lasses, I will catch you tomorrow for another live stream. Like this live stream if you're new, and subscribe if you're new as well. Get this channel to 2,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Follow me down here on Instagram at _the Shaman Show in the yellow box. Wish a massive happy birthday in the comments as soon as it becomes a video to Jose Mourinho. And to end this live stream, just enjoy this montage of Jose at Roma. And happy birthday to him.